Hey guys, wasn't ready to go live. You're so quick on that thing. All right, let me get my dog out of here. I want to thank you guys for joining me. I thought I had everything set up. You guys know me. Not always the most. So, hi. I'm Beth, if you guys don't know, and we are going to start this back to school series here for the next month or so. So I'm going to be coming on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday about 10 o'clock. And we are going to go over some basic movement things, different focus each week to get us moving a little better. So this is going to be much more kind of restorative and keeping you injury free and allowing you to do the exercises you want to do a little better rather than doing like a full workout or something like that. So today, what you're going to need, either a rolled yoga mat or you could get, this is a half dome. So you can see it's, mine is blue. It's like a foam roller that they've cut in half, and it has a flat side and a curved side. So these are really great. If you don't have one, I highly, highly recommend you get one. You could get one from, I got mine from Amazon. A lot of running and sports stores also carry these, but definitely invest in one of these. If you don't know where to get one, shoot me. I'll put a link in the comments of this too. Your other option is a towel. We'll talk about this. If you have a towel, what I want you to actually do is roll it as thick as you can get it. I have a beach towel, so this one's pretty easy to roll up, but you want a nice thick roll of a towel, so not like a little tea towel or hand towel or anything like that. So, put these over to the side for now, and get my notes, because you guys know me, and I'm going to adjust the mic too just a little bit. Handy dandy mic. If I keep looking down, it's because I have it attached to my computer today, and I want to make sure that I'm in the frame and you can see my feet and everything. So, here we go. Who's watching the eclipse today? My kids are in school, so I'm trying to decide if I'm going to come out with my little cardboard cutout and try to see it or not. I didn't get glasses. I'm not down on top of things. But, all right, squats. Let's talk about squats. Squats and our hip mobility are one of the most important, movements that we do, both for just our daily living and then exercise. We know, we've heard now for years about the benefit of doing squats during pregnancy for our pelvic floor, okay? But the fact of the matter is, it's not just enough to kind of, just do a few squats and sit there. That's always good. But a lot of times we actually do not have the flexibility, and especially the back of our bodies here, or the strength to really do them properly. Because it's more than just kind of squatting like this, okay? To get the most benefit out of the squats and to really engage that pelvic floor and your glutes, you need to make sure that you're in proper alignment to get those muscles turned on. So how I'm standing right now, not proper alignment. So what I want you to do is just kind of move your feet around without looking, just kind of come to a stance and look down at your feet. If you see mine, they're turned out a little bit, okay? So this is natural. I'm not going to make you change this for everyday life, but when we're doing our exercises, we're going to work to start with on a good stance of bringing our feet so the outside edges are nice and parallel. So one way that you can find this out is if you have a half dome or a yoga block, something with a straight edge, put it next to your foot and then align the outside edge of your foot with that. It's going to look like your toes are pointed in like you're pigeon-toed, and that's normal. There's a reason for that because our hips, which we'll get to much later, are actually not turning on to get our feet pointed totally forward. That's going to take a lot of time, years and stuff. It's something we can talk about later. Right now, I just want you to start. And here's the reason why. If we are in our regular stance here, so our feet are kind of turned out a little bit, and we start squatting, you can see that my knees kind of come out to the side, okay? For some of us, if we're a little too in, sometimes our knees come into the middle when we squat, okay? Especially true if you have weak hips, okay? When we're squatting, the hips can't keep our legs out, and so they collapse in. That's not what we want. This is what leads to knee injury and pain, and also down into your foot. But if we have ourselves in a good parallel, so we're a little wider than hip distance apart, you put your hands kind of down on your hips, look down. If you have a mirror, super helpful to do these in front of a mirror. So get your feet nice and flat, and then you see, as you start squatting, your knees are going to track more forward, okay? If you are someone who has knee pain, it's probably really due to where your patella is tracking. I've seen this for 20 years in my athletes. I see it in my clients now. I've experienced it myself. And by starting to strengthen our hips for a better squat stance, we're going to start getting that patella tracking better, and then starting to reduce our knee pain, and it travels down to our ankles and our hips. Ankle and our feet, and even up to our shoulders. But again, way too much for today. So the other thing that we have to think about with stance, okay, is that the back of our hamstrings, so everywhere from our calves all the way up through our back up into our neck, are usually really tight for many of us. And this is due because we sit a lot, okay? We're in a position where we are keeping our muscles in one position all the time, and our muscles actually adapt to hold that position. And so they lose flexibility in being able to do like a deep squat properly. So today, what we're going to do before we start really looking at squat mechanics, which we'll do Wednesday and Friday, we're going to start by learning how to kind of start warming up and getting the flexibility that we need in order to do a proper squat. So we're going to be working on some simple calf stretches today and a hamstring stretch. That's it. So looking at my time, okay, we're gone about 10 minutes, so let's get going. We don't have a whole lot of time to spend on it. I want you to take your half dome or your yoga mat. I'll demonstrate with a yoga mat today. I'm going to go sideways so you can see, and put it in front of you. And I want you to shift off to one side so that your outside leg swings free of that yoga mat. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this inside leg, and I want you to place the ball of your foot on the highest apex of that mat, and then let your heel come down. Now look at that foot. Make sure you're not turned in where your foot is pointing too far out or too far in. Get that nice parallel stance of your foot on the dome. And then I want you to come into your heel where you don't feel any weight really, just a little bit of weight on the ball of your foot. Most of the foot is in the heel, or most of the weight is in the heel. Now I'm going to move so you guys can see me better. What we're looking for here is, if you have a mirror or reflective surface you can see in, we're looking for a nice straight line between our hip, knee, and our ankle. Okay, I'm going to come down here and you can be able to see it. So what happens now, they want you to start with your foot outside, but way behind you. Okay, and slowly walk that foot up, and you should feel a nice stretch. Stop here. When you feel that stretch, you should be able to keep that heel down. If you feel yourself coming up onto the ball of your foot, then step back. So what we're looking for again here is a nice straight line between our hip, knee, and ankle, and we want to make sure that we're not coming forward with our chest. Okay? So keeping it here, the weight, and feeling a good stretch. If you can walk it forward a little bit, watch that outside edge of your feet too. Do so. We're just going to stay here for a minute and feel that stretch. You'll see with me that I can't step all the way forward. If I try to come all the way forward, my body comes forward with it. This is not what we want. And if I try to stand upright, I can't, because I have a lot of tightness here in the back. So I need to come back to a position which is about parallel for me of where I feel that good stretch. Knee is nice and straight on this one. You should feel it all the way up to about your butt and holding here. So we're going to hold it for about 30 to 60 seconds. And then you're going to switch sides. So coming down here for you guys again. Follow the foot on the highest part, nice lateral edge, looking for our alignment first. I'm using my screen as my alignment. My mirror today. Outside foot, a little farther than hip width apart. Nice parallel outside edge. Walking forward until you collapse. And then when you find that collapse point, come back until you find that nice, solid, straight line here and hold it there. It should feel like a good stretch. It shouldn't feel like you're pulling or tearing. And it should be just mildly uncomfortable. And as you're holding into it, it should release a little bit. And if it does release, you can try coming forward. That then stretches the muscles again in a new position. So we're just going to work on parallel feet today. And after we've done that, shake it out a little bit, we come back then to the first side, coming up again, foot nice and parallel on the apex. Coming forward, this time what I want you to do is bend your knee. When we bend our knee, we take the hamstring out of it and we focus primarily on the soleus, which is the calf muscle that's under this big solid one we think about when we do calf raises and things. Okay, so when you take the rest of the posterior chain out of it, you're probably going to be able to come forward a little bit more. Holding it there. And that's because we're not stretching quite the same. We're not getting into the thing that's going to pull us forward. So this is a really nice one to practice your alignment on. It's a little easier to get. Take it out. Flip sides. Nice good alignment. Bend that knee. Walk it forward. I'm a little too forward still. There we go. That's fun. I know this doesn't seem like it's much when we're talking about squats, but guys, this exercise alone is one that you should be doing at least 3 times a day, okay? For 30 to working up to 60 seconds, holding it more if you want to. If you've been sitting, if you've been doing a workout, I want you adding this into the end of your workout because this is one of the best preventative exercises we can do. We can't do it too often. I actually have those half domes all around my house. I will do this while I'm cooking. I will do this while I'm, brushing my teeth. Find ways you can add this in. That's probably good enough there. So the stretch, the soleus and the calf stretch, probably the most important thing that you can do in your day. Find a way to fit it in. It doesn't take long, as I said, 30 seconds to a minute 3 times a day. You are going to see huge benefits, especially if you're dealing with the core and pelvic floor, okay? Once you start stretching out these muscles, I'm going to demonstrate that in a minute, you're going to start feeling more engagement just naturally of those areas, and also for your glute to start firing. Hey, an idea. All right, last one today we call double calf stretch. Before we step up on the mat, I want you to come into that good, nice parallel stance. Feet are nice and flat here. Our weight is back in our heels. We can lift our toes, and we have that nice parallel line coming from our hip, knee, and ankle. From here, I want you to make sure that your pelvis is untucked. You don't have to stick it straight out. We don't want to, puff up our chest. But I want you to just relax. So tuck it under, pull it out, and find that nice spot in the middle where it's nice and untucked. Your weight is still towards the back and in your heels. Not all the way back where you feel like you're falling, kind of like mid-foot to heel. Then from here, what I want you to do, keeping this untucked and not swan diving, so your chest is just kind of neutral for now. Coming down and feeling, okay, did I tell you how tight I am? This is about it for me. I can feel this whole stretch. What we're looking not to do is to let our tailbone tuck under. We want to keep that tailbone untucked, okay? And we also don't want to round our back like this. So it's a nice neutral spine here to a place where you can keep, I don't know if you guys can see it. You see I have a bit of a nice curve in my lumbar spine here. trying to find out where to put my arm. Okay? If I go forward more, I start dipping down. So for me, this is it. I'm practicing like I have like a little bit of a string kind of pulling up my tailbone to keep myself untucked. Now, I'm going to demonstrate this, even though this is a little bit too advanced even for me. If you are one of those people who have pretty good flexibility in your hamstrings, then this is where your yoga mat, half dome, etc. comes in. Go ahead, put your feet like we did for the other half stretch up on your yoga mat and try it from here. That's it for me, okay? But you can do the same stretch, and this is going to heighten that stretch on the back of your calves and things, okay? So again, I'm going to come back down, holding here in a nice untucked position as far as you can go down. You can use your hands to support you. If you are someone who can go down a little farther, you can do it here. The other thing you can do to help, and I'll bolster this a little bit, is do it on a table. So your hands, again, will come straight right here. You want your hands in this case, shoulder, elbow, wrist, feet, align, coming back into your heels. Untuck that pelvis and feel that stretch. Let your head relax. Nice movement. So again, that one, 30 to 60 minutes to start with. You can always add on, but sometimes it's nice to take a little break after 60 minutes of holding. I'm sorry, 60 minutes. Ooh, that'd be a long time. That's true restorative. 60 seconds of holding it. Shake it out a little bit. Go through some of the other exercises and come back to it. Okay? You can make your own little flow out of it. All right. Last couple of things I want to talk about that I have for this week. We have, in addition to our squat exercises we'll be going over, we have 2 more to-dos for each of the week. First one, daily walking, guys. Okay? Even if you, and I'm not talking running not substitute for walking, treadmill not substitute for walking, elliptical, whatever, your weight workout not substitute for walking. Okay? I want you getting out there and walking. I would love to see you get out for 30 minutes, but I know that's not always doable. So what I always say is accumulate this time. So it doesn't have to be, okay, well, I'm going out and I'm going to take my kid on a walk. Find ways to work in more walking into your day. If you're going shopping, park farther away. I know that is like such a stereotypical thing. That's a little bit more walking. Park in a place where you can then hit multiple stores without having to drive to each one. Doesn't always work out, but it can. Think about walking to the grocery store if you live close enough. Walk your kids to school if you live close enough. Find ways to work in walking. And what I want you to do as you're walking, see how far up, I want you to really focus on engaging this glute. So when we're pushing off, your heel should be the last thing to leave the ground. Okay? Can't do a huge one. Turn around, sorry. But you should really be pushing through that heel and letting it roll up as you come through. Okay? Katie Bowman, who's my teacher and mentor, kind of also explains this at doing kind of like an ice skating where you're not necessarily having to go side to side, but you feel that glute firing because you're pushing off. So that's what I want you to do. Daily walking, focusing on really firing that glute as you're walking. Sometimes a little bit of a forward lean while you do this is really helpful in getting that glute to fire. Not only is it going to help us with our squats as we get here later in the week, but it's going to help us with that pelvic floor and that core strength as well. Last thing I have for you for this week is floor sitting. Okay? Guys, get on the floor. Okay? I want you to start sitting in a lot of different height positions. Okay? I'm not saying you have to sit down here all the time, but you need to get on the floor. Sometimes we're at work and we don't have any, options. So standing desks are great, but standing too much also puts your muscles in a position where they're not getting the range of motion that's needed just as sitting does. So it's not more of just either sitting at a desk, and I'm going to use this as an example, or standing. It's really a variety of movement in the range of motion of your hips and knees and ankles throughout your day. So when we sit at a desk, I even have my coffee here, okay, you can see when we're sitting in a regular chair, our body, we have about 90 degrees of flexion here, 90 degrees of flexion here, 90 degrees or so of dorsiflexion on our ankle. And we sit like this most of the day. What happens is over time, our bodies get used to this position, and it says, hey, you're going to hang out here. I'm going to adapt to make this the most supportive position. That's why then, usually when we stand up, that range of motion is fine. But if suddenly now we're supposed to sit lower, then as you can see, I move my body in a position where my body's like, oh, I can't support it. Try coming back on your heels. No way. But if we start moving ourselves down into the floor position more, then you're going to start naturally increasing that range of motion, and that's going to help your squat, and it's going to help the engagement of those muscles, especially your pelvic floor, just naturally happen. Here's the one thing. When you're down on the squat, or down on the floor, I don't want you coming under and tucking your hip under, okay? You don't need to thrust your chest forward, but you do need to keep this pelvis nice and untucked so you have this lumbar curve. So, a couple of things that are handy. Foam roller you can sit on, and it naturally untucks your pelvis for you while you're sitting. So a lot of the time when I'm working, I actually use a floor desk like this and sit on a foam roller or a bolster or a bolster or something like that. Now, I know not all of you have that. So another option, pillow, a floor cushion. You can get like little floor cushions. I got one from Home Goods that's square. It's really nice. Or you can simply get a towel or a blanket and sit on it so you're coming forward here. Okay? So, today, calf stretch. Here's the thing. Wednesday, before we get on again Wednesday at 10, I want you to warm up with about 5 minutes of calf stretching before we start our other work, okay? And then, as I said, I want you to move all that calf stretching and the soleus stretching into your day. 3 times a day, 30 to 60 seconds each exercise, many times as you can get it in, okay? Number 2, daily walking, focusing on that glute engagement. Number 3, floor setting, keeping your pelvis nice and neutral. That's your homework for today. It's back to school. You're going to get a little bit of homework, okay? Feel free to shout on the group if you have any questions about this. What else? I think that's it. Let me know. Feel free to PM me too if things come up. If you don't feel like asking in the group, you can always PM me. Otherwise, ask in the group. I will answer those questions. I hope that this little lesson, the next lessons won't be quite as long as this, just so you know. This first one, Mondays will probably be a little longer lesson. And hopefully my brain will be back with us. But yeah, if anything comes up, let me know. Otherwise, get your homework in. I expect it of you. I may be looking for check-ins. We'll see if we have any grading or not. Post videos. That would be super fun. So post videos of yourself doing this, and I'll let you know what if there's any changes you need to make in a nice way. Everything that you do is always, it's not necessarily right or wrong, with little corrections here and there. Any movement that you do is going to be super beneficial to me. So show me, how are you floor sitting? Holding laundry, that's one way I do it. Show me where you're walking. Show me how you're fitting in these calf stretches, maybe in unique ways in your day. Share it with me. I would love to see it, and I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. I will see you Wednesday morning. Bye.